Morning.
Morning,
Morning,
Cory.
baby. Okay.
Yeah, good. Do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah. So I'm Cory. I'm 27, and I live in a little town called from Ilkeston, between Nottingham and Derby, and I'm currently in Somerset, where I've just completed a successful 6 months treatment at Somewhere House.
Woohoo!
Which
How'd you feel?
I feel. Do you know what? I've just been thinking about it today with what I can say what happened and how far I've come in 7 months I've been here is crazy, because I can sit with these feelings and I can have my good days, but I can also analyse a bad day and work out why it's happening and not just play victim like I did till not long ago, and realise it's life and you don't need to act on all the feelings and thoughts, because on average you can have between 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and if you acted on every single one of them, you would get nowhere. And I'm learning that now, just to sit back and analyse what's going off during the day, do my gratefuls at night and what I could do better the next day. And it's like a light bulb. When it clicks, and I start to understand it a lot more. Since at least these last 3 or 4 months, it's just clicked. And since finishing treatment, I was worried about what am I going to do, because I've got such a structure with the 5 days in house. But it's just transitioned pretty easy, and that's why I believe the transition helped me so much, because I'm now prepared to do things with my recovery, prepared to have a routine, prepared to have a bedtime, and do the things I need to do, and the things I don't want to do, because they're the good things for me that I don't want to do, is get up in the morning and go swimming, go to bed and not use my phone. They're the things I don't want to do, but I do it because I know I'll feel better for doing it. And it is just training your mind to do those things and not using an excuse of why, because it's either success or excuse, and that's the way I look at it now.
It's interesting, really, because they're just life skills, aren't they? That
Yeah.
we all should, and I use the word should, utilise, but we don't.
Yeah, very true, and it is now. And I can have a little laugh at it now, but before I would have a reason why I can't do it. And as you know, Angie, like when I was working for you, I was still early days then, and I still had a lot of everyone don't like me and everyone's against me and blah blah blah. But now I don't look at it like that at all, and I look at it as, because I'm trying to help other people by I just suggest what I did. I don't tell them how to do it. I suggest what I did, and if they'd like to take that help, they can. Because the minute you tell someone to do something, or that's when they normally switch off. Whereas I suggest what I've done. If you'd like to do that, that's up to you. And that's what I'm learning now, not to control situations. Because as you've worked out the first day you met me, I like to control situations. And with the arrogance as well, as you've said, it's true now. I look back and it's like, yeah, you was right what you were saying. And that's why I didn't like you saying it, because it was true. But I'm okay with that now, because before it was, how dare she work me out within 2 minutes of knowing me? And it's like, that's because no one did that before, and that's why you end up in a treatment centre, because you were spoiled all your life. And that was my upbringing. I had the brilliant upbringing. I was spoiled. I got everything I wanted, and I could never end up an addict because I've got a nice eye and I've got this, and it's all a load of addiction will take anybody. And I've learned that recently. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you've got, how much money you've not got. It will take you if you play around with it. And I've worked that out the hard way. I believe.
Sorry, just to interrupt you, but isn't that thing? I mean, it's so in the news, isn't it? There's so much going on where, very famous people who are very wealthy, very successful in some aspects of their lives have utilised drugs and addiction to kind of live their life, cope with their life, whatever their circumstances are. But it's like you said, it doesn't matter what your background is, it can impact on you. And it's not just the people that are sticking needles in their arms or shoving stuff up their nose. It can be that person that is addicted to prescribed medication. Can be anything, can't it?
Yeah, and that is very true, because I thought my main problem was with the ketamine. I'm okay with everything else. But then when I started analysing the wider picture, well, I was using meds. I was taking double the amount of meds for my ADHD, and I was taking triple sometimes. I was getting boxes of sertraline for antidepressant because I thought I needed them. It wasn't. It was my addict just getting more and more drugs into me. It was a wider scale now. I look at it. And yes, my main problem might not have been alcohol, but the day I have a drink, the day the domino effect happens, and a drink would then give me anxiety. Anxiety would then lead to that. And I understand that now. And before it was like, well, I'm not an alcoholic, so that's okay. And it's all rubbish. Addiction is addiction. And I'm seeing that now, and I'm just loving that I can see it, because I never thought I'd be able to. I really didn't. I just couldn't see a way out. I just couldn't see. And even when I first turned up into Somerset and I come here and I just thought, this is for me, they're telling me things that aren't true. And all of it was true. And that's why I was saying it wasn't, because I couldn't sit with those feelings. And I'd always act out with either aggression, grandiosity, or something around them lines, thinking people would believe in it. It just didn't wash here. And I learned that the hard way by it not washing. And back home it used to wash, which I'm so grateful for now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just so grateful I can wake up in the morning knowing I've got stuff going on, but wake up and know I've got to do my day still, and not, well, I'm not going to do it today because I can't do it because I've got this going on. It's just all self. I just need to get on with my day, and no matter what happens, I still will do what I need to do today, which makes me proud of myself for, because I struggle to say I'm proud of myself as well, but I am now, I feel, and I get told people are, but it's about me being proud, not other people, which I used to look out at a lot. If you was proud of me, then I'd just drop the tools and carry on doing what I'm doing because you told me you're proud of me. Whereas no, if I don't feel proud inside, then I need to carry on doing what I'm doing.
Makes a
So
lot of sense.
it does, yeah. And I used to like people telling me I was doing well, but even if I wasn't, I'd sugarcoat it because they're telling me I was. And externally, we can have everything externally like that, but internally, it takes a long time to find those things. And I was like, yeah, but I can't be an addict. I've got this job and I've got this, this, and this. It's all external. You can get that back tomorrow, but internally, you've got to work for it. And if you don't work for it, you'll just be miserable. And I've been following a case quite recently about ketamine under a guy that's obviously, you've probably seen the news, under investigation, and I think it just shows externally he had everything, and internally he was craving that antidepressant, that ketamine, just to get through the days. And it just shows, like, it doesn't matter who you are. From afar, yeah, you might look, you've got a nice life, but if without internal love, then you've got nothing for me. For me, that is anyway.
You saying that, and I think that is an important point. I mean, ketamine is such a popular drug at this moment in time, and we've seen it, and you see it on the increase. But the impact of ketamine on a young person, on anybody, but particularly the young kind of people that have been taking it, they've got no idea what it's going to do to them, not just emotionally and spiritually and all those other things that you've talked about, but also physically, that it actually murders your body. I mean, when you've got a young woman that can't have children because of taking ketamine, or they can't go to the bathroom, or they frequently visit the bathroom but can't actually have a wee, it's horrendous, isn't it?
It is, and it's the insanity of it is, you will, when you're taking it, because you're on such an antidepressant and on a different cloud, you'll make it situations. Yeah, so a doctor will tell me, you keep taking it, your bladder will be out by the time you're 30. Well, it won't be, because what I'll do is I'll crush it more. What I'll do is I'll do this. And they're just saying that to scare me. And the insanity is, you believe that inside your own head. And I used to believe I would be okay if I carried on taking it. The cramps will pass. The doctors are just saying it because they don't want people on. And it was like, no, they're telling you strict facts. But I was just doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome, and it was just never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I used to take ketamine to get rid of the ketamine pains, and I thought it would work, and in the end, I'd end up in hospital. I am lucky, touch wood, to this day, I can sleep all night, and I can go back to 11 hours without using the toilet. But before, it was got psychological. Okay, we're going on an away day for football. Right, well, how can I do that? I need a wee. There's no toilets on the train or in a bus. Well, what about this? And it was all psychological. Everything had to down to where there was going to be a toilet for me, and what about if I get cramps? And really, that wasn't even going to happen. But because it psychologically started, that was always my main worry, no matter what I was doing, whether that was an interview, a long journey, out with family, I'm going to need a wee and get cramps. And most times I tell myself I'm in pain, but I'm actually not. And it's because I didn't want to be in the situation, because the addict were telling me, you need your drugs, you need this. And I was just I've missed so much time with certain people because all I was doing is ticking boxes. Well, I went out with a family on Saturday, yeah, but you wasn't present. You was thinking of 3 hours in front when you're going to meet someone to get the drugs. And I just look back now and think, just live in the moment. But I never did that. It was always planning forward, and I still now and again run away with myself and run away and think, oh God, that's coming up. But I can get grounded again by the right support here that I've got. Some very good people here, as you know, and they will just say, stop. You don't need to be thinking like that. Live today. Do what you're doing today, and it just works for me now because I can do that.
But Something that you said just then about taking the drugs to stop the pains of the drugs and the
Yeah.
absolute insanity of that. And it's there's a lot. I mean, cocaine is an incredibly popular drug in a lot of people that you wouldn't expect, and they're kind of doing the same and don't realize that they're racking up an addiction. Before you know it, they're snorting coke 10, 15, 20 times a day, and you're back in that cycle again. And I'm doing that because it's going to make me feel better. Well, why can't you make yourself feel better? You don't need a drug to do that.
At what point, Cory, did you kind of, or why ketamine? You know, at what point did you think, I'm going to try ketamine?
When I was growing up, I always dibbled in drugs. It was never the alcohol. And then obviously, when I got to a certain age, I couldn't be taking cocaine because it was giving me anxiety. I couldn't speak. 'Cause I'm quite an active, loud person anyway. When I have that, I'm like, zoom. So I hated it because I couldn't be with anyone in a social situation. And then I remember when I really got bad was when I moved to the Ibiza for 2 years, and it was like, wow, I can party with this many people, I can stay up, I can socialise, and it just took me there. And it was ketamine that could make me socialise, and I could speak, and I could stay out for a long time. As funny as it sounds, because it's meant to be it's like a tranquilizer, but for me, it didn't do that. I felt like I could be myself on it. Well, no, it wasn't me at all. Do you know what I mean? And I'm learning that now. Anything else would either just make me go in a little shell and get paranoid and want to go home from events, or just do things to me that I hated, and it made me feel suicidal at times. The cocaine and things did, but whereas ketamine, I felt like nothing mattered. It was just a relief, and I could do anything on it. And that's what happened. And then I just got back home, and lockdown hit after 2019 when I come home, and it was like, well, I'm not sitting in my bedroom. I can't do that. Didn't even try. And then obviously the ketamine come out through lockdown, and then that was it. It'd gone from partying with lots of people to locking my bedroom door, not there, and moving. And it was like, wow, how are you going to get yourself out of this? And it just went on. The years passed. I'll get clean next year. I was saying I'll get clean next year in February. We had another 11 months away. Can't get clean because I didn't do January. And it was just all excuses and excuses. And I remember my mum saying, why can't you just stop? Because they're not into drugs or anything. And I just didn't have an answer. It was insanity. It was just, I could not stop.
How are you funding this?
Well, I've got back home, obviously I'm a plumber and heating engineer back home. So what I was doing, I was earning decent money, like a lot of money. But the thing is, when I was seeing the taxman at the end of the year, it was like, you're in 15 grand's worth of debt and you've earned X amount. What the hell are you doing with all this money? And it was like, I don't want to hear that. So what I'll do is I'll start getting my mate to do all my taxes for me, because he's not going to ask me them questions. I'll do my own books because I don't want him asking me them sort of questions. And it's because I didn't want to face up with what I was doing with all this money. And when I broke it down of what I could have had in life, it was like, no, I can't cope with that. Let's just not think about things like that. And it's, again, just pushing it under the mat, keep doing what you're doing. And that was what it was. If you challenged me on it, I'd just cut you off, because I couldn't accept that I was becoming an addict. And it was so hard to accept.
So you had a full-time job,
Yeah,
earning good money,
yeah.
and you were spending most of the money, by the sounds of it, on drugs.
In the end, it was working jobs out to how much drugs I can get at the end of it. It wasn't working out it was, well, I can get that much drugs with this much money. And then over time, the jobs started getting from being good to lying, not turning up to work, have worked for brilliant companies, using their company vans to sleeping sometimes, drive around on their fuel cards, but tell them I'm not doing it. Trackers must be wrong. I'm working for a massive company. Of course the trackers aren't wrong. Of course they know what I'm doing. But in my head it was, then I can work this out. I'll get a tracker blocker. There was all sorts running through my head that I was doing. And I thought I was like pulling the wool over people's eyes. And now it's like I've got a lot of embarrassment around it, because that's not me to manipulate a situation as bad as I was doing. And even now thinking about it upsets me a bit, like these people that give me the chances to work for them, I just chucked it in the face. Or even friends and family, even people's parents, my mates' parents, I'd do a job and I'd rush it just to get out of there. And they'd ring me saying something was leaking on like a sink, and I just wouldn't turn up and do it again. I'm not going to lie, and I'd let someone else, and then my mate would be like, "Can't." I just do some awful little things just to get my money, and it's disgusting because my mum didn't bring me up that way, and that's what upsets her the most because, God, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's not your fault, mum. No matter what you do, was not going to. And it is, you've got to hit a rock bottom, and my rock bottom might not have been as bad as the rest, but it was my rock bottom. And that might have been sleeping in cars in car parks. That might have been being turned away from everyone's house and not wanting to be there. But that was enough for me to realise it's time to stop. And it is, and it's. I do sometimes think, oh, well, I've not got these certain things. I mean, it doesn't matter but people's words, and that's what it says. It doesn't matter. Everyone has a different rock bottom, and that was my rock bottom. And that's
but
okay too.
Isn't that thing where people's perception of what things are like? Oh, he's a qualified plumber. He's he's quite etc. Or like you're saying about your rock bottom, comparing it to other people's. Everybody's life's different, and you're an individual, and it doesn't matter where you come from or what you do, or etc. 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 The reality is, it's your life, it's your story, and nobody else really relates to that story fully. It's only you, and the shame that just rejecting or being disrespectful to your friend's mum can be enough just to tip you over that balance, can't it? You know, it's like, why would you do that? You know, it's like, it's out of character, but you did it. And if that's what signifies your rock bottom, then that's your rock bottom, isn't it?
It truly is, and it's like, I know these people, like my friend's mum's from when I was this big, and they're like, they're not upset I've not finished the job, they're upset of what I'm becoming, and they're upset of, they don't want to see that Cory they know being like this. They didn't know I was like it, and I'm refeeding them all these excuses of, and they're thinking, we're just feeling sorry for you. We didn't know you was turning out like this, Cory. We really feel sorry for you. They don't care about the leak under the sink. They'll get someone else to do it. It's the way I'm going, what path I'm going on. Yeah. Oh, so your mum's patronising me, I won't speak to you anymore. And it was like, I was always looking out, and it was always other people's fault. And I remember, and this is the hardest one, my mum walked in my room and I could see her hair and hand. And her hair was falling out, and she'd been having counselling, not behind my back, because she could do it around me and what she can do to cope with me, because I wouldn't have the counselling. I didn't want to go to rehab. So for the first year, she had counselling to cope, and her hair started falling out. And I remember, and it was, to me, it was, oh, look, you blame everything on me. And she's just crying out for help of what's going on for her. And I just didn't listen. And, oh, it's always you. And I was never violent. I never would be. I'd never lay a hand on a lady ever. But the words I use and the manipulation of, Mum, I'm not even off my head, and playing these games with her head, telling her I'm not. And she didn't know she was coming or going because she doesn't know about drugs. She is a nurse, and when she found out it was ketamine, obviously she did a lot more. She knew then, but because I'm a son and I was promising I wasn't doing it, she was really hoping I was being truthful. But my brother would say, look, he's off his head, I can see it. But Mum's like, yeah, but he's told me this, and it was playing mind games for her. She wasn't sleeping at night in case she thought I was going to have a seizure and choke on me, all sorts. And to me, it was, oh, stop being over the top. And it's awful. And I really struggle now. And that's why today, when she needs me, I can't be there. But like I've told, I've had a nice little 40-minute chat with the counsellor, and they just said, what can you do different if you're back home or here? You being here is one less thing for her. And it's true. Me being here, doing what I need to do, is better than me sitting at home trying to get in the triangle and rescue her and things like that. It's just not worth it. And I understand that now, and I can speak to her later, and hopefully, but there's nothing I can say. It's life. There's nothing I can say that's going to change anything or do. It's going to happen whether I'm there or not.
But isn't that's the thing about recognizing powerlessness, because powerlessness isn't just about the drugs and drink and that. It's your behavior, and it's also recognizing that you're powerless over other people, and you can't do anything to kind of improve somebody else's life in that aspect, can you?
No, and that's what I've struggled with the most, because obviously, I don't know, you know quite a bit about me as well, but if I want to make sure you're all right, and I want to rescue you, and before I'm okay, and that's what I've done all my life. If you're okay, then I'll sugarcoat how I'm feeling, but it's never worked. And even now, sometimes I just want to just say, look, this is what you need to do, and you'll be okay. But then I think, well, you're still not perfect, Cory. You still just work on yourself, because there's things that you do wrong still, because I do. I'm a human being, and I've been here 7 months. I've not been here. It's a minor in recovery. That is, it's literally minimal. I've got a long way to go, and I need to just remember that sometimes, and that's why I can get put back in my place, which I like. And it's like, remember what you're doing here. You can't save everybody and you can't take over the world. So just keep doing what you're doing. And I get that now. Before it felt like always like an attack. And it's not an attack. It's just constructive criticism that I need. And I love it now. I crave the constructive criticism to help me. Do you know what I'm saying? It helps me so much. I don't need comfort, because the minute I get comfort or sympathy is the minute I run away with it and things can go wrong. And
is it criticism, or is it just people being honest with you? And I think it's funny because my Instagram post today was about honesty, and I just feel sometimes it's the truth. I'd rather hear the truth than hear the non-truth, if you see what I'm saying. It's like people are reluctant to be truthful to others.
Yes. I'm just thinking about it now. Yeah, it is. It's because it's hard to stay. Even now, I struggle. I get this tightening in my stomach when I just want to tell someone, like, I don't like the way you just said that. Or I still struggle to this day to I can challenge to an extent, but I get this tightening in my stomach and I just struggling for the words to come out. Or if I don't like the way someone spoke to me and I need to tell them, it's like, well, how do I do that? Do I stick with it and beat myself up, or do I just say, I don't like the way you just spoke to me then, and it made me feel like this? And as you know, in here, you get used to challenging, but even now, I'm like, I just get such a weird feeling inside of me to be completely
but you're
honest.
like that as well, aren't you?
Yeah,
Mike is exactly the same.
Exactly the same. And it's really hard when you want to challenge somebody that said something to you or about you or done something you don't like or whatever it is. It's really hard, and I've got better at it over the years, but I'm still far from where I'd like to be. You know, when someone doesn't turn up on time or whatever, you know, it can be really hard to confront them. Yeah.
And it is. And I had a situation, I'm not going into no details, but I had a situation about the way someone spoke to me the other day, and it brought me, I understood, because it happened before, my words out why it happened. It's to do with when I was younger and my dad, the way he used to speak, and the door slams and things like that. I've realised it's trauma, and I felt like that the other day, and I was so angry, and I went out and I went and played ping pong like I do, and I went out. But I woke up the next day and I returned up to work yesterday, and they said, you're not yourself today, you're really quiet. And I knew what it was, so I pulled them aside and said, look, I thought I need to stay calm and say, no, I'm not happy the way you explain my situation. It was so hard because I couldn't do it at first, and I did it. I could see that they wasn't happy with it, but they knew they had to take it on board, and we're fine now. And I feel a lot better this morning for that situation, because it's not that I'm angry, it's that I'm scared, like I was, and I can admit that now because I couldn't used to say that. I'm scared when people say certain things because it brings me back to my childhood. And I couldn't accept it. I was like, I'm not scared. And it's like, no, you are scared. Deep down, it brings you back. And when you the layers of it, it comes back to something that has scared me in my past. And I'm realising that now. So I think, why is that just affecting me so much that they've just said that to me? It's not that bad. And it is. It's because I've got things underneath that which I work out now. Instead of acting out straight away and doing things I shouldn't do. But that's what I used to do.
But the perception of what a trauma is for some people, they think that you have to have said, like, you've been abused or something like that. But it isn't necessarily that, is it? I mean, a trauma is your trauma, how you perceive things and how you respond to things. And I think very much it's in the news, isn't it? Oh, this happened to this person and that happened to that person. And, you know, but actually it doesn't have to be anything as explosive as that. It just can be a very minor thing. To some people, that is enough to tip that person into the trauma position or whatever.
And it's true, because my main trauma is the door slamming, shouting where I can't see, so someone's shouting in a different room, and the way angry eyes when they go glazed over. Them three things, if I see that in somebody, takes me back to when I was a kid. My dad, when he was with my mum, and just I was always behind the closed door. I was a young kid, do you know what I mean? They split when I was 6, but I was that kid behind the young door. The kid behind the door knew what was going on in the other room, but I couldn't go and say anything because I was too scared in case I got told off tooth. And it was like that. And I'm taking nothing away from my mum. She's been brilliant since she met my stepdad 20 years ago. They've been brilliant. But I remember that. I never thought about it till I got here. And it's like, God, wow, I remember now. Like, and I just couldn't. It's mad how all that stuff that's come up. What? It happened 22 years ago now, and it's crazy. That's the things that I don't like, those 3 things, and it brings me back to being a child. If I can't see it, I don't like it. If I see someone arguing, I'm okay. If I don't see it and I can see it, hear it, it starts like, oh, what's going on? What's going to happen? And I don't like it, and I've worked out why now, so I can admit, yeah, it scares me. It don't make me angry, it scares me, which is hard to say.
The other thing, though, is fear and anxiety go hand in hand, don't they? And I think very often we separate the two, but in actual fact, it's generally the same. But people don't want to admit that they're frightened. Like, you won't confront people. I know, I nag you about it. I say, you've got to say something, But is it fear that holds you back?
I think it's, you don't know what that person's gone through today. I think there's an element of that. So, you might be unhappy with the way someone's just spoken to you, but you don't know what's gone on in their life that day. Maybe a family member's been rushed to hospital, or they got caught speeding, or they've been told off by somebody, and you think, I don't want to make their life any worse.
But does that give them the right to transfer it into you?
Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not. But that's what goes through my head is, we don't know what's going on in their life. They've not turned up. Are they okay? They've not answered the phone either. I've tried calling them. They've been in an accident. Are they okay? Is their wife okay? Is their newborn child okay?
I think
when they then message me a few hours later going, "Oh, sorry, I got the wrong day," I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, they're all right. That's good." But there's no point having a go at them now because it's the moment's passed. You just let it go. That's what I do all the time.
I hear you, but I also think that's that bit where actually sometimes people need to know that that's not okay.
Sure.
Okay, I hear you, but these are the feelings that I've been left with all day.
Yeah.
So that people know.
Yeah,
I think it gives people insight as to how their behavior impacts them, because it won't change if you don't say anything.
It won't. Yeah. It's having the confidence to do that, though, isn't it?
It is, and that's the thing, and it is hard. And
any tips, Cory?
I think that's the lady to ask for tips, Angie. That's not me. It's not me. But what the thing is, I've had to learn as well is I've always looked at things like this, and I'll be truly honest. In life, I know in here it's different. There's a hierarchy you've got, and I know it's not now, but I feel like when you're at the top, it's a lot easier to challenge, and you're not. When you're at the bottom, it's a lot harder. But I'm learning here that everyone's equal and things like that. But in life, that's normally what happens, and that's the true fact of it. If you're at the top, it's easier to challenge, and if you're at the bottom, you don't feel as confident to challenge. People might argue with that fact, but if you're looking at any walks of life, any job or anything, music, anything, normally the people at the top are the ones who make the decisions, the ones who challenge, the ones who get what they need to be done. The ones at the bottom, and that's how I see it. And people don't like that, and I don't say it a lot, but that's how I see things. Would you agree, Angie, with that?
Well, I agree with your analysis there, in the sense that people perhaps feel more empowered when they're in a position of seniority. I'm not sure that I would want people to think like that, in that sense, and that they have the freedom to say what they want to say. I just think everybody has the right, whatever, you embrace it and go for it. And if they need a hand to say what they need to say, I'll be right by your side to do that. I just think sometimes, like you said, I'm very aware of my position, so therefore I'm very aware of.
That wasn't aimed at you. It's any live.
No, I didn't feel it was. It was. Yeah. But I just feel I am very aware. So I'm very aware that because of my position, that I have to be careful about how I approach things, because I don't want. I can be a bit scary, and I don't want people to be scared of me, even though people are. But it's like we had a situation last night. We went out last night. We had a situation last night. And it's like, I'll just go. That was my decision, was just to go. Kind of said something to somebody, and this, it was very uncomfortable. And I just thought, actually, do you know what? No, I'm not going to be spoken to like that by somebody. And I think that's about your own personal growth. I will not allow people to walk all over me. And somebody else said something to me last night that I need to address, and I will address it in my time. Like Mike says, is it the time or the place? Whatever. But I think whatever your position in life, you can get rubbish things come your way. And I think, and some things are scary to deal with and some things aren't scary to deal with, if that makes sense. And I think whoever you are, it can be difficult, whatever your position. I do think sometimes people do take advantage of their
Yeah,
thing.
that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
That's bullying, isn't it? I mean, that is bullying. If you're doing that, you're a bully, really, surely.
Yeah, it's. I'm also a big believer of. I love people that build stuff. I love it when people make it to the top. I love it when someone's built something from nothing, and they deserve that bit of authority. Something like that. For me, I believe that. Like, if someone's built something and they're doing really well, fair play to them. Fair play to them wanting to run the way you want, and fair play to them having that authority of saying, you're going to do it like this because this is how my business runs, and I want you to do it like this because I've made it to where I am today by doing this. But also, there's a way to go, like you say. If it feels like it's coming across as bullying and you're not practicing what you preach, then yes, it is. But if they see what you're doing and you're not telling them to do anything you wouldn't, then it's not. For me, it's the authority of, this is what I've done to get where I am today. If you want a bit of it, you need to do that too.
Yeah, I hear you, but I also believe, I mean, you are only as good as your team. And if people are kind of forced, their hands are forced, other than legislation, there is no reason why that team cannot work towards the goals of the organization, if that makes sense. It's amazing that everybody has ideas. And if you don't utilize everybody's ideas, then the likelihood is your company will fail. You can only sustain it at the top on your own for so long, and then people start toppling down. I'm reading a book. I've read it about 3 times now, but it's called The Algebra of Happiness. Have you read it?
No.
It's worth a listen. Listen to it or read it.
Yeah.
And the guy he's so honest in there about how awful he is. And what a terrible person he is. His attitude stinks at times, and he challenges himself. But it's the fact is if you're honest with yourself about your downfalls and you're honest about who you are as an individual, then and you recognize that other people have value, then actually I feel that you can develop. But if you don't and just think you're omnipotent and you know everything and then you're going to fail. And even if you don't necessarily fail financially, you'll fail in other aspects of your life. I mean, I see it regularly in what I do. So very, very successful people who have no family, no friends. They've got lots of money, but it doesn't make them happy.
Yeah, I think I'm relating back to myself, because if I see someone do, I want to do exactly what they're doing, and I'll listen to what they're going to tell me down to the T, because if it's worked for them, it works for me. So they can control me in a slight way because I want to be where they are. If you know what I mean. If I took that role of job on, so do you know what I'm saying? I want a bit of what they've got. So if I listen to everything they tell me, I will. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But that's shared knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
You share your knowledge, but you still develop it into you. You decide. It's a bit like making a cake, isn't it? We all make cakes, but we all have our own recipe. If you see what I'm saying, you might add a little bit more egg, or you might put a bit of vanilla essence in, or a bit of water, or a bit of chocolate powder. But Mike doesn't cook really. We all tease him about that. But do you know what I'm saying? We all have our own kind of ingredients to life, and it's about. You still got to make it yours. You can't have all of my ingredients, because that's my cake. It's not your
it doesn't
cake.
work, does it?
No.
Yeah. I get fully what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, you're sure. Yeah, I like the point there about the cake situation. Yeah, true. You can teach me how to make a cake, but you can't. Yeah, you've got to make your own. So yeah, I like that. Yeah, I do like that one.
And you're going to break a few eggs along the way, I think is the same.
Yeah, that works. I'm just thinking of that, and there's nothing really to come back from for that, because that's actually true. You can teach me how to make a cake, but you can't have mine. And I do like that. Yeah, that's good.
So, Cory, what does the future hold for you? What's your plans?
This is where my mind goes mad, like I say.
12
So
months.
my future holds, touch wood, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to be doing my courses. Well, I'm going to be. My plan was to go back to Derby, but I had a nice opportunity to stay in Somerset, so I'll be staying in Somerset to do my courses.
What courses are those? Can you share that?
Yeah, my counselling. I'm going to go on to the counselling side of things.
Amazing.
I know it sounds very cliche into recovery, but I actually want to do it. Do you know what I mean? And
it's a bit different to plumbing.
It's massively different. But what I look at is the why I wasn't that happy in the job I was doing, clearly, because I wasn't happy. I'll actually admit I wasn't. I don't know why I just didn't enjoy the job. I really didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I did. And when I went to do a share about, God, I'd been here 6 weeks. I went with Rob to a college to do a share, and I'm so nervous that I've not revised or anything, and it just comes so naturally. I thought, I've only been here 6 weeks, and I knew all that when they asked me them questions. And the more it's gone on, and the more I've learned on myself, and I'm like, wow, I love this recovery, and I just love helping people too. So I've started doing shares at meetings, and I've service at meetings that I do, and I just love it. I just love giving back, and I know so many people and that could have what I've got, but they just haven't got the courage or the guts to do it. And I remember when I was in addiction, I wouldn't go to any meetings because I didn't dare. So this is why I'm trying to bring it more online, because I used to sit on my phone scrolling all day long. So I'd listen to people on my phone, but I never heard. But it was always go to a meeting. But do you know if it's on the internet as well, where they can think, God, yeah, he sounds like me, and blah, it helps them out too. Because I was petrified. I couldn't go to a meeting when I was in addiction because I didn't feel like I wasn't. I didn't feel like I was part of the addicts. Do you know what I mean? I was really blindsided to it, and there's a guy that I speak to recently, and he did his podcasting, and he did a ketamine one, and it took it up to 96,000 from 5,000 because of through ketamine. And there's so much around it I want to learn about, and I want to revise ketamine. I want to study ketamine mainly for the younger generation as well. Also be a counsellor at the same time. I'm so intrigued to why I got addicted to ketamine. I want to know exactly why. I want to know everything around the matter and just give back what I've learned here. Do you know what I mean? I'm really passionate about it. Recovery at the minute, really passionate. And it's a no-brainer for me, really. I'm going to really enjoy starting college and getting my head down with it. And I can wake up in the morning happy. Before, when I was going to work to do plumbing, it was, oh, it's cold, it's this, it's that. I'm not looking forward to it. And it just wasn't for me. My mind used to wander when I was at work and I was counting down the hours, not making the hours count. Whereas, I don't even count the hours anymore, all the days. There's no point counting the days, make them count. And I've learned that out now. And I'm just loving life at the minute. Even with bad stuff going on, it's still not as bad as it was when I was in addiction.
So if in a year's time, if we invite you back or you'd like to come back,
yeah,
where do you think you're going to be?
In a year's time, keep doing what I'm doing, I believe I'll still be in Somerset and I'll be level 2 qualified. That's right. Just the basics. That's what I believe I will be. If I keep doing what I'm doing, I'll be level 2. It's possible because I'm going to college and I will still be in Somerset. If I keep doing what I'm doing, I can't see why I wouldn't, because, I had my bad start when I first come, but everyone was an addict. But now, I've just got so much, I don't know, I just feel safe here. I feel it works. I can concentrate on myself. I'm not going to worry what's going off with everybody else. I can just concentrate on getting, I'm 27. I can be level 4 at the time I'm 20, by the time I'm 30. I'm so young. Why just procrastinate it? Why go home and think, well, I'll start college soon? Do it while you're here. For me, chaos is always going to be comfortable going home. That's obvious. But for me, chaos isn't always what I want in life. And it's realising that now. I can have 6 months of success or 6 months of excuses, and I've learned that as well. That's what.
Brilliant.
Sounds
well,
good.
We'll see you in a year, hopefully. And,
yeah, definitely.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Absolutely good luck. And
thank you for sharing your story. It's been
really
brilliant.
Yeah, and
really
thank
insightful.
you for having me. And I'll definitely want that to come again, hopefully one day. Yeah. Thank you. And this is my first podcast I've done with anyone, so I was very nervous what it was going to be.
Good job.
You were great.
And like it says up there, if it's to be, it's up to me. So
correct.
See you later,
Cory.
guys.
Thanks, Cory. Bye-bye.
Good day.
So I'll just leave now.